If you hear some pitter-pattering, that's because it's raining here in Vancouver and I record my videos beside a window, so I apologize for that. But today I wanted to talk about Hughes. Not Quinn Hughes or Luke Hughes or even Jack Hughes. In fact, the guy we're talking about has a son named Jack Hughes, but it's not the Jack Hughes you're thinking of. Let's talk today about the Montreal Canadiens general manager, Kent Hughes, and how I'm starting to think this guy might be a genius? I don't know if it's appropriate to go out there and label people like that this early into their tenures as GMs for hockey teams, but I will say this right off the bat as well. Kent Hughes did have a press conference for the Montreal Canadiens just a few hours ago, where he said a few things about Lehkonen and Petrie and the direction of the team and all that stuff. It was a pretty good press conference, but we're not really talking about that in this video over here. This video is instead going over my thoughts on a few, just timing things. How the Montreal Canadiens in the past few weeks have gone about their trades and have made their moves, and just why I think this is so gosh darn impressive for a guy who is just stepping into the Canadiens GM role. So, obviously we're talking about Tyler Toffoli, obviously we're talking about Ben Chiarot. Toffoli was traded a few days ago, Ben Chiarot was traded yesterday. And when it comes to the caliber of player that Tyler Toffoli and Chiarot both are, they vary in a panoply of ways if you really sit down and think about it. Tyler Toffoli is a scoring forward, Ben Chiarot is a defensive defenseman. Tyler Toffoli has a few years left at a pretty cheap cap hit. Ben Chiarot has 1 season left, 50% salary retained, he's making just under $1.8 million on the Florida Panthers salary cap. You have yourselves a situation where Tyler Toffoli has gone out there and absolutely shined in Calgary in the best way possible. Guys were chanting his name in the crowd when he made his debut, and he's been scoring goals because that's what he does. Ben Chiarot, he's not likely going to get that same response. He's likely not going to score any significant goals, nor is Ben Chiarot really going to be like a fan favorite. The fans are going to be chanting his name like they did Toffoli in Calgary situation over here. But Ben Chiarot, if he's under the radar, if you're not noticing him, then it means he's doing his job. These two guys are in completely different circumstances, but when it comes to the trade return, it's kind of wild to me how they sort of mirror each other. This was a tweet from Habs Chronicle that kind of sparked up this entire video. The Toffoli trade netted the Montreal Canadiens a first, Emil Heineman, a 5th-round pick, and there was Pitlick as well, but he was kind of a cap dump, so it's not listed here in the trade. Ben Chiarot landed the Canadiens a first, Ty Schmielanich, and a 4th-round pick. Heineman might be a bit better than Schmielanich, so the value is almost equal. And yeah, that's kind of how it works. 1st-round picks, okay, they cancel each other out. Heineman being a bit better than Schmielanich is canceled out by the 5th being worse than the 4th. Now, of course, Pitlick is there again, but still, Pitlick, I mean, yeah, you kind of get what I'm talking about here with Tyler Pitlick, right? What this tells us is that the deal for Toffoli was good, but they may have been able to get more, and that they also robbed Florida. I like this point a lot, because for Tyler Toffoli, when he got traded, I honestly felt like it was already a pretty significant haul. Like, 1st, Heineman, 5th, that's a lot for Tyler Toffoli, whom you picked up for free in free agency the previous year, and who has just been nothing but successful for the Montreal Canadiens in the postseason and the regular season in the North Division and all that. Sure, his 21-22 could have been a bit better, but you could say the same about most everybody playing under Martin St. Louis. And so, for the Montreal Canadiens, Tyler Toffoli was a situation where you turned nothing into something, and that something is probably going to help you out long term. If Emil Heineman becomes a player in the NHL, then you're golden. That is fantastic to see as a return for Toffoli, and you still have that 1st-round pick on top of that to help you out in future drafts. For Ben Chiarot, when you really lay it out here and say that Chiarot fetched an equal return to Toffoli of all people, like, it kind of blows your mind, does it not? Like, a few weeks ago, if I told you, yeah, Toffoli's going to get traded to Calgary, Ben Chiarot's going to get traded to Florida, and the return for both of these guys is going to be similar. Like, you would have called me nuts, right? You would have said No way does Tyler Toffoli and Ben Chiarot go for a similar price on the market. Chiarot is a rental. Chiarot's a defensive shutdown D. Chiarot is not flashy. Chiarot doesn't have any term. Toffoli is going to be sticking around with whichever team that acquires him for a while, and he's going to have that star power too. There's no reason to believe that Tyler Toffoli should go for the same price that Ben Chiarot would. But it happened. Furthermore, here's Darren Dreger going out there and saying this on the Twitter's app. Terrific return for Chiarot and well-timed by the Habs management. The market was shrinking. Montreal knew that Calgary was zoned in on a forward. Calle Jarnkrok, by the way, made a video about that, talking about the Seattle Kraken trading him over. And clubs were backing away from Chiarot as a pure rental. Moving him early bumps the market, but a smart play by the Canadiens. And what Darren Dreger means here when he says it bumps the market is this sort of trade pushes the market forward. It makes all the other NHL teams around the league look at Ben Chiarot and say, oh crap, he just went for that much. Okay, well now what is Mark Giordano going to go for? What is John Klingberg going to go for? Oh boy, we need to start making these conversations happen now. Because there was a Chiarot trade, all of a sudden it acts as a nudge for all the other NHL teams to look at the defensemen on the market and say, okay, well we kind of need to get this done now because Ben Chiarot just went for a first, a prospect, and a fourth. So, Dallas, what's that Klingberg going to cost? Compiled with the fact that Josh Manson was traded earlier in the week as well to the Colorado Avalanche for a pretty sizable package that did not include a first. Like, holy, when I think about that now, Manson got sent over to Colorado for a second and Drew Helleson. Helleson, by the way, is a really good prospect, so he kind of makes up the value for a first, but how in gosh darn's name did Ben Chiarot go out there and fetch a higher draft pick than Josh Manson? I guess there really is a price for extended playoff success and veteran Stanley Cup Finals championship appearance experience, right? So, for Montreal, I'm really starting to believe in Kent Hughes and the vision he has for this team based off of the two trades he has made. These are pretty good moves, and when you compare them side by side, it's kind of mind-boggling to see how similar they really are. And that's a good thing, because both these players, Toffoli and Chiarot, netted the Canadiens' first-round picks, pretty good prospects, and extended picks as well. So, talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Tyler Toffoli and Ben Chiarot getting traded for similar deals? How does that sit in your mind? We said the past few videos that it's sort of a buyer's market this year because there are a lot of buyers that don't really have the cap to go out there and do anything, and there are a lot of sellers with assets to burn. But when it comes to trades being made of this nature, I mean, the proof is in the pudding right here. Tyler Toffoli gets sent over for a first, Emil Heineman, and a fifth. I'm not going to forget about Tyler Pitlick, but he was there too. And then you have Ben Chiarot sent over for a first, Tyson Milanich, and a fourth. So, yeah, Montreal, dude. Lots of picks coming out here, and they still have more that they can go out there and potentially get if they trade away a Petrie, a Lehkonen, anybody else that's on the market too. By the way, Kent Hughes talked about that in his press conference earlier today, so you can go ahead and find that elsewhere on the interwebs, should you really please. But talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Toffoli and Chiarot, the trades with the Flames and the Florida Panthers, and your entire thought process regarding these moves. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.